So, howdy everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Miss Monroe. I teach at Reedy High School, and I was just kind of doing this intro lesson to help you guys figure out how to do some of the basics in Photoshop with our very first file, which is parasailing. So I went to where I had downloaded the files in the previous video, and I right-clicked and said open with Photoshop. So this brought it up. Please note that your Photoshop might look a little different than mine. I am trying to put it back the way it was, but I will show you how to find things or get to things that maybe aren't exactly like yours to help you, because as you use Photoshop, the tools that you've used most frequently will show up on top, and things like that are going to happen just as you use the software. Okay, so these tools here, this is called our toolbox, and these are our tools in Photoshop. It is important to note that they do kind of change, and there's things underneath it. So the very, very first tool in our toolbox has got the 4 arrows. And if you'll notice at the bottom right, there's a tiny little arrow kind of showing. What that little symbol right there is showing is that there are actually tools underneath that tool. So if I say go find the magic wand tool in a later video, you may have to go and kind of know roughly where the tool is to be able to find your magic wand tool. Okay, so I promise the more you use it, the more you're going to remember where your tools kind of are. And then also make sure when you're watching the videos that you're kind of also counting down the number of tools. So like if I had used my magic wand tool recently, it'll be on top, but if I haven't used it in a while, I may have to go and count, okay, it's 4 tools down. That's where I will find it. So up here at the top, we have our menu bar. So that's also important to make sure we know. Sometimes we'll have to turn things on in our menu bar. We also have things over here. So I like to leave my color panel up so that I can go and change the colors that I've got. You've also got swatches so that you can go through and see some of the different colors that are in there, but usually I'm hanging out in colors. Down here at the bottom is our layers panel. This is going to be very important here in just a minute, but we can see right here I have this layer called background, and that is where my parasailer is. Okay? Okay, so the first thing I actually want to do is I want to save this so that way I have it if I'm working. That way if I'm not quite finished, I still have the file. In my class, I always ask that you save your Photoshop file, so if you do make a mistake or you mess up, you can come back to where things are. And I can play with my layers, I can change my fonts, I can fix spelling mistakes, all those kinds of things. When I go to turn it in, I will show how I ask for things to be turned in, but please make sure that you double check with your teacher. They might be slightly different. So I'm going to come up here to File, and I'm going to say Save As. So right now I have parasailing, and I'm saving it as a picture file. So I want to go ahead and save this as a Photoshop file. And as to where, I actually want to go and say where I want to save it. Now I'm on a Mac, so your saving settings might be slightly different, but I'm going to put it on my desktop, and I'm going to make a new folder called To Turn In, so that way all of my files will be in a folder here on my desktop. So I'm going to call this Parasailing Monroe. I always put my name in the file so that way I know these are mine and not the file that I downloaded. It's really easy sometimes when you're in a rush trying to turn things in that you turned in your start file instead of turning in your finished file. That happens quite a bit, especially as you're rushing through. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to kind of zoom in on my little parasailer. So as I'm looking down my tools, this last one looks like a magnifying glass. Up here in my menu bar, I can see I have the plus selected for the magnifying glass. So I can really zoom in like super much on this. So I was clicking and dragging to zoom in, and then clicking and dragging to the left to zoom out. I can also click my negative magnifying glass to zoom out as well. So I can go through and really see what I want to see. So I kind of have my parasailer really zoomed in. I can really see they're having a lot of fun, but now I want to go back to the full size of my parasailer. There's a couple ways that I can do this. Up here at the top, I can say fit screen, so that will automatically resize my parasailer to fit in my screen. I can also double click my little hand tool right here. The hand tool is kind of cool when I'm zoomed in because I can click and drag around in my picture. So maybe I really wanted to see this line for some reason. So I'm just kind of clicking. Think of it like I'm moving the piece of paper underneath the magnifying glass. So if I double click it, it will fit my screen, or I can just go ahead up here in my menu bar and say fit screen. So I do want to crop this picture because there's all this excess sky. I don't really need all of that. So my fifth tool down, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'll notice that when you're hovering over your tools, it is telling you the name of the tool, and there is a video right there that will also walk you through how to use that tool. That is somewhat new in Photoshop, which hasn't always existed, but I'm going to go ahead and click my crop tool. So you can see I've got these handles around, the transform controls around, so I can go through and resize them. I could also, with that tool, click and drag and say I want to keep this much of my picture. So I kind of want to keep about this much of my picture. Remember guys, this is all practice, so it's okay if your stuff doesn't look exactly like mine. We really and truly are hoping that you learn how to use our tools so that later on when we are doing things more complicated, you already know the basics. So once I'm done, I am going to either hit this check mark or press the return or enter key on my keyboard. So now my photo has been resized. Let's just say you accidentally cropped your photo like way too small. We do have an undo feature in Photoshop, and it is going to be something you're going to use a lot because we all make mistakes. If you only need to go back like 1 or 2 steps, if you do Command Z on your keyboard, now remember I'm on a Mac, so on a PC you're going to be doing Control Z. You can go back a step. Another feature that you have is this right here. Now, if this isn't showing, I'm going to go up to the word window and I'm going to say history, okay? And that's going to bring up my history. So this is recording all the things that you're doing in Photoshop. So every time you save, your history list does disappear, so keep that in mind. But I could go back. Maybe I really did want that crop to be as far as it was. But I can go back a step. So maybe I didn't want my crop at all. I can go back to where I opened and saved it, okay? So I usually keep this sucker up right here because that helps me. Like I said, we all make mistakes, but you've got 2 ways that you can go through and fix it. So next thing I kind of want to do is I want to add these rulers because yours are not showing more than likely. So I'm going to come up here to the word view and I'm going to say ruler. So the ruler is going to allow me to measure my photo. That way I can see what I'm actually working on. Right now the default that we can see in my ruler is pixels. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I don't really know how to convert pixels to inches off the top of my head. I think in inches. So if your ruler is showing in this, I'm just going to right click on it and these are all the different measurements that I have. So I'm going to switch mine to inches. Another thing, a lot of times when I'm working in designs, I want to maybe put a guide at the exact middle of a photo, or I want to put guides to help me line things up so that everything lines up exactly the way I need it to. Back to your design principles, alignment is a big principle. So you can actually put guides in a photo to help you line things up. So I'm actually going to do one to kind of put it here in the halfway mark. So I've got this picture, it's 4.5, so 2 1/4. So I've got 2. So here's 2 1/2, here's the next line, 1/4. So this is the halfway part of my photo. And all I did was just click my ruler and drag down. So if I click and drag down, I can add these guides, okay? To get rid of them, if I hover over it, you'll see my mouse has changed to 2 arrows. I can just click and drag and bring those right back up to the ruler itself. So it looks like this is about 6 and almost 6 inches, so we'll do a tiny bit more. So kind of here is the midpoint of my photo. I've kind of divided it into quadrants. That was just for me to show you how to do them. If they're bugging you, get them out of your way. That's perfectly fine. So I kind of want to go ahead and add some text. So here in my tools, if I go down to the T, that's going to be my type tool. So you'll notice I have horizontal and then I also have vertical. I've used both of those, but usually horizontal is the one that I do. Up here in my menu bar, we can see that I'm using this font for whatever reason. So I'm just really going to click and put, I can see my house from here. Okay, so going to select my move tool and I'm going to move my text so that I can see it because mine was kind of hiding. We can see here in my layers panel that I can now see my type. As long as it's a T like we see here, I can get my type tool and I can triple click my type and I can go and change it. I can change the font, I can retype the words, I can change the colors, I can change all the things. If it ever, please don't do this, but if it ever looks like this, this is no longer considered type. Basically, the computer has turned it into a photo and I won't be able to select it for whatever reason. So I'm going to undo, and I'm going to undo one more time until this is a T. So I'm going to go through and just select a font that I like. Doesn't matter what fonts you have. I'm going to make my words pretty big just so I can see them. Ooh, it's a little too big. Maybe 30. Okay. Gonna kind of move this a little bit. And then right here is where I can change the color that I am typing with. So I'm gonna select that, and I've got a couple options for when it comes to the color. I can just come in here and randomly pick a color. However, I kind of want it to match. So repetition is something that we learned about in our design principles. And so I want to repeat colors that are already here in my photo. There's a way we can do that, and I can make sure I'm using that exact same color. When this pops up, instead of clicking in this box, if I hover outside of it, now I can get this exact red, or this exact light color, or this exact white. So I can go through and pick a color that I like that's already in my design. That way I know I'm working with this specific color, okay? So I'm gonna hit okay, because I kind of like that. I'm gonna get my move tool and kind of line him up so that he's kind of lined up on there. So this is kind of cool, kind of happy with that. So the next thing I kind of want to do is I want to add a fancy border. So I'm going to remove this guy just because it's in my way. Here in my layers, I'm going to add a layer to put my border on. It's kind of important that if I'm adding things to my picture that I try to keep things on their own layers, because with layers I can turn them on and I can turn them off. Layers give me a lot of power. Like the way that I could move my words was because it's actually on a layer. So if I click this little eye next to it, my words are gone. So maybe I don't want that in this picture I send this person, but now I want that in this picture I send my friend. So I can do those kinds of things by making sure stuff is on its own layer. If I'm gonna go through and like one project we're gonna do later, we're gonna add grass to a house. Well, if I mess up, I want that grass to be on its own layer because I have a lot more editing power that way than if I actually put it on the layer the house happens to be on. So to add a new layer, here at the bottom of my layers panel, I do have some tools. So I've got my delete, so that if I don't like a layer, I can delete it. Next to that, I've got this little plus. So this plus is going to allow me to make a new layer. I want to put my border on this new layer so that way if I don't like it, I can take it off. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I kind of want to select my whole picture because I want to use a tool that's going to make a border just around the edges. So I have a few ways that I can do that. The easiest way, because I have this nice, awesome rectangle, is to use what we call our rectangular marquee tool. So this lets us select in rectangles, and I can control how the rectangle looks. So I'm actually going to select my entire picture, and we can see these lovely little marching ants, is what I call them, have shown up, and that allows me to see what I have in a selection box. Okay? So if you ever see those marching ants, just note that that means you have something selected. You can only do things inside those marching ants, and that will come up to play in some later videos. Okay, so we actually have a tool that's going to help us make a border, so we're going to kind of cheat. And up here under my select tool, I am going to go to the word modify, and we can see right here, border is actually one of our options. So I'm going to select that. So here's where I'm going to say how big I want my border to be. So I'm going to say 100 pixels because 72 is about an inch, and I kind of like how that looks. If I didn't, I could hit my deselect button or do a Command D and reselect my image and redo the select modify border to put in a different number. A number between 50 and 100 is actually pretty good. So we can see right here that I'm on this layer called layer 1. I want to make sure that is my selected layer. And then I am going to go right here on yours. You have this button, which looks like it's called the gradient tool. I'm going to click and hold underneath it to find what we call our paint bucket tool. Paint bucket, it's just like a paint bucket. It will dump a color of paint on a selection. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. Now this is going to paint with whatever colors are right here in my tools panel. So this is the color that I would paint with on my foreground, and this is my background color. So my foreground color right now is this weird purple from some project I was working on. So I'm going to click on that. Again, this box we've seen before. I can pick a color here, or I can drag my tool out here. I kind of really am digging that red color, so I think I'm going to select that same red that I did for my type. I'm going to hit OK. So we can see that now I'm going to paint with this color, and I'm going to dump that paint right there on my photo. If I kind of want it to not be quite so feathered, I can dump it again. It'll make it a little bit redder. Up to you. You can dump it as many times as you kind of want. Eventually to the point it will become solid. So I kind of like how this looks. So I'm going to go ahead and switch tools. And then I'm going to deselect my selection so that I have my pretty picture. So I have this background, we know what that is, but layer 1, I may not remember what that is in 2 weeks, so I'm actually going to double click this and I'm going to call this border. That way I've named this, and so if I've saved this and then I come back to it and then my teacher goes, hey, your border is not right, will you take it off? I can always quickly take that border off, and I know what layer it is because I have named it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. So I'm just going to hit save because I've already put it once in my to turn in folder. A lot of students ask me this question about maximizing compatibility. It's basically just saying, hey, we're going to let multiple versions of Photoshop open your project. So we're going to just go ahead and say okay when it pops up. I actually have checked the don't show again because I don't want to see it every single time. But we're going to just go ahead and hit okay so that it shows and it's saved. So here in my to turn in folder, I have my parasailer. Okay, looks awesome. But now I'm going to need to turn it in, and most of the time your teacher is going to ask for not only your Photoshop file, but also a JPEG, because that we can open up on 99.9% of devices in the world. My Chromebook will open a JPEG. Chromebook won't open Photoshop because it won't install there. I can open it on my phone, I can open it on my iPad, I can open it here or there. My PC doesn't, like, anything will open that. So I usually ask that students turn in both files. So to turn in and save a JPEG, it is one more extra step, okay? So I'm going to come up here to File, and this time I'm going to say Save a Copy. Now if I hit Save As by accident, we can still get to save a copy. So we can see right here with my format, it doesn't show the JPEG. But because I meant to hit Save a Copy, if I hit the button right there, now I actually have all of the different types of file types that I'm allowed to save in Photoshop. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose JPEG. We can see I'm already saving it in my to turn in folder, and I'm going to call it just Parasailing Monroe. When you're saving names, do not ever change the dot, in this case .jpg, in this case .psd. Don't ever put anything after it. You're always going to name before the period. Don't ever use periods in the naming of your files. This is actually going to corrupt your files where your teacher will not be able to open it. So then you did all that hard work and we can't grade it. Okay, so like I said, I like to put my name on my files just because that way I know it's mine. I know this is the one I need to turn in, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit save. This is going to pop up. It's just asking how big or small do I want my file to be. The quality that it usually sets with it being high like this is perfectly fine. If you make it too small, that's too grainy, we won't be able to open it. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK again. So then I'm going to hit maybe later on that. Don't show again. The last thing I do want to show, if let's say you've got Photoshop and you're working on multiple computers, maybe you came in for tutorials and it's not on the computer you're sitting at, you had to log into a different computer, you installed Photoshop at home and you want to access your files, you can actually save your files to something called the cloud. So I'm going to come up here again and I'm going to choose Save As, and if you notice this button right here, Save to Cloud, will allow you to save it out there in the cloud. That way you don't have to have a flash drive to be able to take your files back and forth. You don't have to like put your Photoshop file in your Google Drive to download it home. This way when you log in to your Creative Cloud files or your Creative Cloud account on another computer, your files will show up. If you ever hit that button by accident and you're like, no, I need to save this to my actual computer I'm working on, you want to click this button right here to save it to your computer, okay? So that is how we do our very, very first intro little lesson to parasailing. I hope it went pretty easy for you. And now we're ready to move on to our next file.